I'm happy to report that Sergeant First Class Janina Simmons just became the first black woman to pass Ranger School in the Army.
Army Ranger. That's pretty good.
So that's pretty cool.
I'm scared of her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not because I think black people are threatening, but because an Army Ranger is intimidating.
Yeah. Well, this is
like
actually,
she's.
and this is one of the toughest military schools out there, and it's 62 days, and she got through on the first attempt, which is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is one of those schools where, you can go through. I've known a lot of people that have gone through Ranger School, and a lot of them get injured.
Well, a lot of people just don't make it. Just don't get out of it.
Just don't make it.
I feel a need to clarify my comments so that it doesn't get misread. I just want to make the point that there's a lot of people. We understand that there's implicit bias, and so I was kind of making a joke on how people. There's all kinds of studies showing that people are intimidated sometimes when they get into these situations with race, especially when someone's black. And I'm kind of trying to just call out that the real reason to be intimidated by somebody would be intimidating skills, not color of their skin.
Exactly.
Right? It's like it's awesome that she did that, and I mean. It's awesome anybody does that. This is a very elite group of people, and very there's a very small set of people that graduate. A lot of people go in, not a lot of people get accepted.
Right.
When you do get accepted, not everybody comes out of it. So that's really, and I remember reading about different spec ops and how they did the testing. And when I started to read the specifics of how they were tested, I was just like, I read like one or two things that they did to them, and I was like, yep, I just have to read it. Like, that's all I need. Because if someone did that to me, I would just be a mess, right? Like, I would be crying. I would be, like, climbing out of the swimming pool, just bawling and, like, saying, leave me alone. I need a minute. Like, there's no way if I had that kind of harassment going on to me physically and, emotionally, I think I would just... I don't even have to try it, right? I can just read it and say, yeah, I'm not going to pass this.
Yeah.
So that's really something.
And my comments were just kind of to reinforce what you were talking about, that the reason to be intimidated are the skills, because, I mean, what this woman did is phenomenal. Being a ranger at all is kind of an elite group, and then to get through on the first attempt, that's pretty huge, because there's some people that don't get through on the first attempt because they get injured. There's some people that don't quite meet the standard and they get recycled. And mad props to anybody that got recycled and went through and graduated, because I know from just having gone through airborne school, which I didn't have to get recycled, but I know that at the end of, ground week of airborne school, if I had been told, hey, you have to do this again,
you'd have to put some thought into it.
I would have had to spend the weekend psyching myself up to do that again, because that was...
Well, the other thing is, and just to
schools.
say, like, to show how tough that really is, a lot of people, even if you make the cut to get accepted to do it and recommended to do it, then you get in and you go through the training and you actually pass the training and you make the grade, there are still people that crack.
Yeah.
Like later on,
Yeah.
in that profession. And so it's like, this is a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
It wrecks people. I mean, literally, people come out of this wrecked sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I know a lot of guys that have come out of Ranger School, and one of the things that it wrecks is your metabolism, because they deliberately restrict your calorie intake at Ranger School. So most of the guys they're living on, 1 MRE a day for, most of the school. And that may have changed a little bit in the last few years, but basically...
Those are little dinner packets, right? Like, that's a
they've got...
group, it's a thing.
Each MRE has between 1,100 and 1,300 calories.
Okay. But it's like a meal thing.
Yeah,
just in case people don't know.
Yeah, it's a meal ready to eat is what it's called. So it comes in a plastic pouch. Like I said, it's got between 1,100 and 1,300 calories per MRE. And if you get one of those a day, just think of most of the people going through Ranger School are young men in their late teens or early 20s. And these guys are going to be burning anywhere from, 4,000 or 5,000 up to maybe 7,000 calories a day. And they're only getting at most 1,300 out of these MREs. So they're going to lose weight fast. When I was in the Army Reserve, we would go to Fort Benning every year because I had instructors that basically took over some basic training classes down there. We go through the mess hall, and when the Rangers were coming through, as a courtesy, we all just stepped out of line and let them go first because those guys are hungry. And they would go through and load up their tray on as many calories as they can get, for those meals because they're only in garrison for about 24 hours and they have to reset and go back out again. So they're trying to get as many calories as they can in as short a period of time as they can. It's really hard to do. So there's the calorie deprivation, there's sleep deprivation, there's extreme physical exertion.
But even, I guess what I was talking about, though, is, there's people that come back from, tours as Rangers that, end up not making it. And it's, kind of a shame. There's people that end up not being able to go on or ending up in really bad situations because they just mentally, even though they made it through and were deemed, worthy to go through, forward with this, something about it just still cracked them later on. And yeah, it's rough. So, power to her and wish her luck, and much success in her career. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, and I guess my long story was getting to the metabolism thing. Was that a lot of the guys I know, they got out of Ranger school and they ended up like ballooning up like 20 pounds, just getting really puffy after that because they had this feeling like they were starving all the time. And they would go into these all-you-can-eat buffets and chow down. So hopefully, the female Rangers are not experiencing that side effect.
And there's more to her story.
I'm sure. Yeah, she proposed to her girlfriend at graduation. So
there you
go.
So
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one told her that she couldn't be in Ranger school because of her testosterone level.
That's right. Yes.